Juniors is a girl who seems to have everything in life that people envy. She comes from a rich family, she's gorgeous, slim, popular, and has a handsome boyfriend. But in reality, she thinks she's really ugly. One morning, she checked Instagram and saw a bunch of comments under her photo saying her face looked big and round. That hit her hard, so she decided she needed to lose a few pounds. After a few days of working out, Juniors dropped about 2 kilos. But the bullying on Instagram didn't stop. Then they suggested she get a facial lift. It would make her face look smaller. They insisted so much that Juniors eventually gave in. She booked an appointment and went to the clinic to start the treatment. But things didn't exactly go as planned. A few days later, she looked in the mirror and her whole face was swollen. Panicking, she rushed back to the clinic, where the doctor told her that her case was extremely rare. Apparently, her skin had an allergic reaction to the facelift procedure. She realizes her face is red and covered in gigantic pimples. Heartbroken, she told her mother that the doctor said it would take at least a year for her skin to fully recover and that she'd need an intense, painful treatment to get back to normal. Her mom was devastated and worried. She'd have to hide her daughter from everyone for a whole year so nobody would see her. She tried calling her friends to hang out, but they all blew her off. They didn't want to be seen with her now that she looks ugly. After that, her boyfriend showed up to see her, and his reaction when he saw her face was brutal. It was like he'd just seen a zombie. Juniors came downstairs to greet him, but he didn't even want her to get too close because of how bad she looked. Then he came up with an excuse. He told her he'd be studying abroad and would be super busy with exams and preparation, so he wouldn't be able to see her much. He asked that they take a break for a whole year. He said goodbye. She was crushed, poor girl. Her once perfect life had fallen apart, all because she wanted to be even more beautiful. She posted on Facebook saying that now that she wasn't pretty anymore, nobody loved her. Since the operation, her life had become a complete nightmare. Whenever she went out, she had to cover her face. People stared at her and whispered mean things. Once, she was envied for her beauty. Now, she was treated like a freak. On the blog, someone suggested she visit a certain Dr. X, a specialist in another city who might be able to help her. She asked her mom for permission to travel there to get treated by him. And while she was at it, she could also study there. Plus, her mom wouldn't have to hide her from society for a whole year. Her mom agreed, but only on one condition, that she take the nanny with her. And so the two of them packed up, moved to that city, and enrolled Juniors in a tourism program at the local university. From that point on, she decided to go by a new name, Yuna, to hide her identity, and she wore a scarf to cover her face wherever she went. She meets this insanely good-looking guy named Sua, and she's instantly struck by how charming he is. The guy asks why she's got her face covered, and she quickly says it's because she isn't feeling well. He reaches out like he's about to pull off her scarf, but she begs him not to, and luckily she manages to stop him before he finds out the truth. Meanwhile, her heart's pounding like crazy. This guy seriously makes her feel all warm inside. Then Sua starts showing her around the school and everyone's staring at her with weird looks. One student, a guy named Vi, even starts dancing in front of her doing what looks like some kind of ridiculous animal mating dance. She immediately told him to stop, but he looked like he was in some kind of dance competition. Man, this school is seriously weird. That night, she met her new roommates, and it didn't take long for them to notice her problem. The girls felt uneasy around her because her face scared them. It looked almost ghostly. Yuna overheard them talking about it while she was in the bathroom, and her heart sank. The next day, she wrapped her scarf tighter, but Vi told her she looked way too suspicious, like a thief or something. She was terrified of people seeing her. At that moment, the club president called her out and demanded to know why she was covering her face, saying it was disrespectful to everyone there. He ordered her to take it off immediately. Yuna froze, but Sua encouraged her to do it, reassuring her that he'd be right there. So, trembling, she removed the scarf. The students react with pure disgust when they see her, and a few said cruel things like, "How ugly? She should just go home." Even the president mocked her and told everyone to call her Ghostface. She starts crying because she can't take the insults anymore. She just wants to leave the school. Suddenly, Sua stepped in, stopped the bullying, and told everyone off, saying none of them were perfect enough to judge her. He even made them apologize, including the president himself. Then he turned to Yuna and told her not to cry, that she shouldn't care about what anyone thought because she wasn't a ghost. She was just brave. That moment hit her hard. What a bold man. He's fighting for me. During one club chat, challenge, Sua lost a game and his punishment was to take off his shirt. He starts showing off his gym-built muscles, and the whole crowd goes absolutely crazy, especially Yuna, who suddenly feels this wave of heat she just can't control. When orientation week ended, the president announced a twist. Among the freshmen, there were actually some undercover second-year students, and it turned out her roommate Nooning was one of them. Each first-year student was also assigned a mentor from the second year, and surprise, Sua became Yuna's mentor. Time went on, and everyone learned something shocking. Sua and Nooning were dating, and they looked perfectly happy together, which made the protagonist jealous. Later, Yuna visited the famous doctor to continue her skin treatment. She tells him she needs to be beautiful again because there's a guy she likes. So he secretly gives her some mysterious pills to speed up her recovery. One night, a heavy rainstorm hit and her dorm room got flooded from leaks in the ceiling. The girls begged for another room, but there were none available. So she called Sua for help, and he came, along with his girlfriend, to rescue her from the rain. They let her stay in their room for a few days. She thanks them for their kindness, and when Sua hands her a towel, he playfully leans over his girlfriend, whispering sweet words and teasing her affectionately. Yuna quickly turns away, trying not to look while the couple laughs together. Sua even blows her a few playful kisses in front of his girlfriend, making the moment even more awkward. Then, with a gentle smile, he walks over to Iyun and softly pats her head, telling her she's a kind-hearted girl and that one day someone will love her the way she deserves. The next morning, Yuna wakes up and finds Sua sleeping at the foot of her bed without a blanket. She quietly grabs one to cover him, but before she can, he wraps his arms around her. She freezes for a moment, glancing toward the door to make sure the other girl isn't around. Being in his arms makes her feel powerful, but deep down, she's totally embarrassed. As she tries to move, Sua stirs and holds on a little tighter, and her heart starts racing like crazy. She finally manages to slip away, confused and flustered by what just happened. Later that day, she meets up with Sua and his girlfriend, pretending nothing ever occurred. And on the way, Sua's old bike suddenly broke down, and to make things worse, his flip-flop snapped too. He tried to fix it right there, but Nooning looked embarrassed, telling him he should just buy a new pair instead of patching up the old ones. She rolled her eyes and said, "Give me that, I'll throw them away and buy you new ones." What she didn't know was that Sua was actually broke and always trying to save money. After their argument, Nooning stormed off and Sua finished fixing his legendary flip-flop. Because of the flooding, Yuna ended up moving to a dorm room next to Sua and Nooning's. One day, while out having lunch with her nanny, she saw Nooning arrive with another guy. It hit her. Nooning was cheating on Sua. When Nooning noticed her there, she panicked, realizing that Yuna knew her secret. Yuna didn't know what to do. Should she tell Sua or stay quiet? Later, she went to a DVD store with Vi and surprise. Sua worked there. He had multiple part-time jobs. That night, their group went out for drinks, and Sua opened up about his life. He told them that he didn't have parents because they'd abandoned him when he was little, and he had to grow up in a temple. That's why he's poor and works non-stop to afford his tuition and living expenses. Yuna tells him he's a great person and says she hopes he never gives up. The next day, she ran into Nooning, who thanked her for keeping quiet and begged her to continue doing so. She explained that the other guy had been in her life for a long time, that he'd always loved her, but they couldn't be together before because he'd been studying abroad. Now that he was back, he wanted to date her, and her parents approved, unlike Sua, whom they despised for being poor and without a future. Later, Nooning asks Yuna for a favor, to sneak into her room and remove all of Sua's things because her parents and her other boyfriend are coming over, and they can't find any trace of him. Yuna and Vi help her out and finish just in time before the guests arrive. One day, while Yuna and Sua are having lunch together, the other boyfriend shows up. They try to hide, but he recognizes them and asks if they know where Nooning is because he wants to surprise her. Sua finally snaps and asks, "Who the hell are you?" The guy says, "I'm her boyfriend." "Really? That's funny because I'm her boyfriend and she spends every night with me." And just like that, fists start flying. After beating him up, Sua drags him to Nooning, showing her the bruised guy and saying he hit him for getting between them. He confronts her about the cheating, and she tries to justify herself by saying her parents didn't approve of him and preferred the other guy. They even wanted her to marry him, so she had no choice. Nooning says she just wants someone who can take care of her, someone who can afford nice lunches and actually has time for her. The other guy, she says, has everything she's ever wanted and can give her a secure future. Sua's heart breaks. He apologizes for being born poor and tells her that maybe he doesn't have much to give, but at least what he offers is real love. He begs for another chance to start over. Seriously, she cheated and he's the one apologizing? Bro, have some self-respect. Still, she tells him it's too late. So Sua warns her she'll regret it someday and walks away. After that breakup, Sua completely disappears. He stops answering calls, quits his jobs, and no one has any idea where he's gone. Weeks go by and everyone starts to worry, especially Yuna, who can't stop thinking about him. Around that time, another problem pops up. The class treasurer, who's supposed to be collecting money from the students to buy new jackets, suddenly starts showing off a new phone and expensive handbags. Not long after she disappears with all the money, one evening, Yuna feels like someone's following her, and when she turns around, she can't believe it. It's Sua. He's back, but now he's got long hair and a scruffy beard, like he's been through some kind of life change. It seems like he's finally gotten over his ex. Yuna is genuinely happy to see him again. Sua quickly gets a new part-time job at the campus bookstore, and when he finds out Yuna doesn't have a boyfriend, he starts to get curious, maybe even a little tempted to kiss her. But trouble strikes again. The missing treasurer still hasn't shown up, and poor Vi is freaking out because as class representative, he's the one who'll be held responsible for the money. The stress gets so bad that he tries to throw himself from the second floor, saying he has no way to pay back the debt. Sua manages to catch him just in time, but Vi still slips, falls, and ends up with a broken leg. The girl faints from the shock, and when she wakes up, she finds her beloved's face right in front of her. She quickly pulls away, almost kissing him by accident. Sua borrows a car and, with Yuna by his side, goes searching for the treasurer to make her return the money. When they finally find her, she confesses she spent it all on clothes and purses, begging for forgiveness. To help Vi out, Yuna and Sua start working extra part-time jobs to raise money, though it's still not enough. Thankfully, the guy selling the jackets is kind enough to let them pay later, giving them time to come up with the rest. When they tell Vi the good news, he finally relaxes. Through all this, Yuna keeps writing on the DUCKlNG Club blog, asking her online friends for advice. She admits that Sua makes her heart race, but she's scared to fall for him. Still, Sua doesn't hold back. He goes out of his way to make her laugh, help her out, and get closer to her. He takes off his shirt and goes to shower in her bathroom. Seeing him like that makes her nervous, and Sua, noticing her reaction, teases her a little, making her even more flustered. She tries to hide her face behind a book, pretending to read, but he walks up to her confidently. She trips and falls back onto the bed, and for a moment their hearts race in sync, filled with unspoken emotions. Sua suggests they share a simple kiss, but Yuna hesitates. She wants to be sure his feelings are real, and not just a fleeting summer crush, so he promises to win her over with his charm and flirting skills. Soon after, the second-year students plan a school trip and invite Yuna along. During those days, Sua makes every possible move to win her heart. But when the trip finally begins, Nooning, his ex, sees how close he and Yuna have gotten, and she doesn't like it one bit. At the destination, one of their professors approaches Yuna, telling her she's beautiful and asking to take some photos of her. That instantly makes Sua jealous. He steps in, grabs her hand, and walks her away from the scene. Later, they all play a staring contest game. When it's Sua's turn, his ex volunteers to face him, wanting to see if he still has feelings for her. But while he's looking at her, all he can think about is the pain she caused, and his eyes fill with disappointment. Nooning realizes right then that he doesn't love her anymore. Then it's Yuna's turn to play, and she ends up paired with that same professor, which makes Sua furious. He doesn't like the idea of her laughing or joking with another man. When they're alone later, he challenges her to a stare-off himself, leaning closer and closer, almost kissing her, but someone interrupts and ruins the moment. That night, he surprises her by taking her to a place he's decorated with lights. A romantic little setup just for her. She's happy, but keeps reminding herself not to fall in love with him. A few days later, Sua finally confesses his feelings openly. "You're a beautiful girl with a heart of gold. I'm dying to kiss you." But Yuna tells him she can't return his feelings, that she isn't ready for something like that. Deep down, Yuna thinks he's just teasing her, that a handsome guy like him couldn't possibly love someone like her. Then one day, while she's napping, Sua secretly snaps a photo of her sleeping. Later, he jokingly threatens to post it on Facebook if she doesn't go out with him or help him with little favors. She gets fed up, grabs his phone, and tells him to cut it out. When exams end, their group goes out to celebrate, and during the vacation, Sua keeps trying to make her fall for him, even though she keeps saying she doesn't feel the same. Her friends from the Ugly Duckling blog tell her she should stop resisting and just go with the flow. After thinking about it, she realizes that her days with Sua are full of laughter and little adventures. She feels safe and alive when she's with him. Time passes, and as the break ends, her skin clears up almost completely. Her friends tell her she looks prettier than ever. Sua is supposed to pick her up on his motorcycle to take her to her doctor's appointment, but his bike breaks down, so she decides to walk. On her way, a guy named Rio pulls up in his car and offers her a ride. She politely declines, saying she doesn't know him well enough. That night, she notices he sent her a friend request. Clearly, he's interested. The next day, the school holds auditions for a male beauty pageant. And surprise, Rio is one of the contestants. He studies engineering and has that polished, confident vibe. He approaches Yuna and asks for her number, but before she can even answer, Sua appears out of nowhere, cutting in and glaring at him. Once Rio leaves, Sua accuses her of enjoying all the male attention now that she's beautiful again. He acts jealous and snaps, "That's what you wanted, right? To have guys chasing you?" Later, Vi tries to calm him down, saying that Yuna doesn't have feelings for Rio and that he should chill. He teases him, saying Rio is handsome, stylish, and rich. Of course, girls would like him. He worries that, after all his efforts, Yuna might fall for Rio instead. His fears grow when he finds out that Rio has been sending her daily gifts like cakes, flowers, and stuffed animals. The whole romantic package. Sua, who barely makes ends meet, can't compete with that. Still, he tries to spend time with her and invites her out to eat. She agrees but says she needs to stop by the clinic first for another treatment. That irritates Sua, who says she doesn't need it anymore, that she's already beautiful enough. He accuses her of wanting to look even prettier just to attract rich guys like Rio. His words sting. Later that evening, after her appointment, she's walking home alone through the dark streets when Rio shows up again and offers to take her home. This time she accepts. It's late and unsafe to walk alone. They end up going to the mall where they shop and grab dinner. But even as she smiles, she realizes she doesn't feel the same spark she does when she's with Sua, even if he doesn't have money. When Rio drops her off, Sua suddenly appears, pulls her aside, and claims she's his girlfriend, nearly starting a fight. Rio mocks him, saying, "Want me to give you a ride back to the temple, poor boy? I can do my good deed for the day. That's it." Sua punches him square in the face. After things cool down, Yuna tells Sua that they're not together and that he has no right to act that way. He confesses again that he loves her, says he believes she only likes rich guys like Rio. Yuna reveals that it made her happy to know he liked her back when she wasn't pretty, but now she realizes they're too different and says it's best if they stop seeing each other. This is so sad. A few days later, the long-awaited beauty contest finally arrives, with an airplane travel theme that has everyone dressing up like passengers and pilots. Rio is chosen as Yuna's partner, but Vi makes sure to keep an eye on them so they don't get too close. That night, Yuna is the center of attention. She looks stunning, glowing with confidence. Even Sua shows up, and when the judges announce the winners for Most Desirable Girl and Most Charming Guy, of course, it's Yuna and Sua. They're the stars of the show. After the announcement, some guys ask to take selfies with Yuna, but they get a little too close, making her uncomfortable. Just then, Rio appears like a gentleman, stepping in to pull her away to a quieter spot. But before she can even relax, Sua shows up again, confronting her for the 100th time. This time he scolds her for wearing a revealing neckline and a short dress, saying, "Only bad girls dress like that." His words hit her hard. She feels humiliated and storms off in tears, locking herself in the bathroom. While crying, she overhears Rio talking on the phone outside. He's bragging to someone, saying that Yuna has a great body and that he'll probably sleep with her that night because she's dumb and way too easy. He even jokes about Sua, calling him a poor temple boy who isn't even worth competing with. Hearing that breaks Yuna completely. She realizes Rio is exactly the kind of man she's always feared, a total jerk. Her tears turn into anger and disappointment. She feels like she can't trust anyone anymore. Just then, a group of drunk guys stumbles into the bathroom and starts harassing her. Luckily, Sua burst in like a hero and fought them off, landing a few good punches. Afterward, he apologizes for all the hurtful things he said earlier, admitting that jealousy made him act like an idiot. He tells her he understands now. She'll never love someone like him, and turns to leave. Watching him walk away, Yuna suddenly realizes he's being sincere, that he really does care about her. And I've always liked him deep down. I can't just let him go. She runs out to find him, and on the way, Rio appears again, trying to block her path. He smirks and offers to take her back to his room, but she looks him straight in the eye and snaps, "Get lost, creep! I know exactly what you're up to." I might be naive, but I'm not easy. She's not holding back anymore. Finally, she finds Sua and without hesitation confesses that she likes him and asks if he'll be her boyfriend. He blinks in disbelief, thinking she's drunk, but she smiles and says, "Nope, this is 100% real." Sua laughs softly and says, "Are you sure, girl? I'm broke. You'll have to ride my old motorcycle, eat street noodles, and work hard with me just to get by." But she doesn't care. All she wants is to be with him. And after all that pain, all that chaos, they finally share their first kiss. Time flies by. A whole year has passed. Yuna's face has completely healed, and she's finally ready to go home for her mother's birthday, where a huge party awaits. She misses Sua terribly, who's still living at the temple. Her nanny smiles and tells her, in the end, the ugly duckling really does turn into a beautiful swan, referring to Yuna's transformation. That day, she gets a call from her ex-boyfriend, the one from the beginning, saying that since she's beautiful again, maybe they can get back together. She laughs and says, "No, bro, your time's up," thanking him for breaking up with her because that led her to real love. Later, her mother introduces her to a wealthy businesswoman, the owner of an international company who has a son named Leo. The woman and Yuna's mother want the two of them to meet and maybe start dating since Yuna's still single. Yuna quickly tells her mom that won't be possible. She already has a boyfriend. Her mother nearly faints at the news, horrified that her daughter is dating someone beneath their social level. Just then, the businesswoman's son arrives, and when Yuna looks up, her jaw drops. Leo is Sua. What the actual hell? She can't believe it. The man she thought was a poor temple guy with broken flip-flops and an old motorbike was actually a millionaire. Sua smiled and confessed everything. He said he'd once been a spoiled rich kid who spent his parents' money recklessly and had a girlfriend he adored, but eventually discovered she only loved him for his wealth. That heartbreak made him realize he wanted something real. So he left the city, went to a small town university and chose to live humbly on his own, cutting himself off from his family's fortune. That's how he became the poor boy from the temple. He told her that when he met Nooning, he thought things might work out, but she cheated on him for the same reason because she thought he was broke. Then fate brought him to Junior's, a girl kind, warm and selfless, who cared for everyone and didn't care about money or appearances. Before he knew it, he had fallen in love with her. She never judged him for being poor, and they had found happiness even in their simplest moments together. The once ugly girl who was always beautiful inside, and the poor guy who was secretly rich all along, they finally fall in love with a strength as deep as the ocean. Their souls light up together, and they know that real love has finally come into their lives. They're the perfect couple, and in every smile they share, so full of warmth and life, there's a bright and beautiful future waiting for them.